Postponing the 2021 local government elections might still happen. The IEC is not ruling out that possibility just yet. On Wednesday, President Cyril Ramaphosa announced the polls will now be held on the 27th of October. That announcement came amid calls from some opposition parties for a postponement of the local government polls due to COVID-19 concerns. Watching this for us is eNCA reporter Michael Apple. He's joining us now from studio. Michael, let's start with this. The big issue at a very basic level when it comes to elections is that all of them are a logistical balancing act, if not a complete nightmare. The IEC is now saying that these are not normal times. It's now facing this mammoth task. Is it ready to do it?
Well, it certainly says it's going to approach this task as if the 27th of October is the date in which we go to the polls. And now that the date has been set, all processes need to be put in place and they need to start planning as if the 27th is the date that we go to the polls for municipal, local government elections. It's a huge task. There's 10,000 PR list seats that are up for grabs, 205 local municipalities, 8 metros, 44 district councils. So it's an incredibly tough logistical task to get all of this, and then throw a pandemic in there just for good measure. You've got to keep people apart. You have to social distance. They have to wear masks. You have to consider things like pens. Make sure everybody sanitizes a pen. So Cyril Ramaphosa, actually, who you'll hear in a second, actually said, guys, bring your own pens. That'll help us out a fair amount. If not, we'll have pens and make sure that each one has to be sanitized every single time. So it is uncharted territory for the IEC. Here's Cyril Ramaphosa.
This year's election will be among the most challenging yet faced by the Electoral Commission, political parties, candidates, and all other stakeholders. Campaigning and mobilizing citizens and conducting registration and election in person as required by our legal framework presents unique challenges to us all under COVID-19 conditions.
It's not all bad news, though, Michael, because there are changes that could still benefit many more South Africans as far as an expansion that the IEC is considering of the special votes criteria.
Yes. So if you're an emergency worker or a journalist or law enforcement officer or somebody who generally has to work on the date that is stipulated to be able to go and vote, then you generally get taken into the special voting category, and it's for the elderly, it's for people. Now, what he's looking at is expanding it potentially to be able to reduce congestion on the 27th of October. So people who are over a certain age, people with comorbidities, and then the usual bunch, journalists and law enforcement and nurses and so on, people who can't get to the polls on that particular day. So that should bring down the numbers that are all in one place at one time. And just one issue is just how split the political parties are over this very day. Cyril Ramaphosa is saying they're split right down the middle. The EFF, the UDM have said, no ways, let's postpone this. Let's actually look at moving this to 2024 so that it coincides with the national elections. I'll be speaking to a political analyst about that potential a little bit later. And other parties have said, no, let's go ahead. I spoke to Zizi Kodwa from the ANC, an NEC member. He says they're going to be led by the health minister. This third wave, nobody knows when this third wave is going to come, if in fact it will. But the entire IEC and the entire process is at the mercy of this. Here's Cyril Ramaphosa.
Extending possibly the number of days and relaxing the qualification criteria to accommodate persons of a particular age and above, and those that may be having comorbidities to be given special votes.